Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Wings Podcast. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri. On today's show, we will meet Sayli Soman, an independent costume designer working for feature films and some upcoming web series projects. She has few notable film projects under her belt where she made major contributions through her craft. Living on and close to the location of a film's shoot, she often finds herself walking in bazaars, constantly in search of costumes and accessories that will go on to build the film's characters. Do nothing seems to be her agenda when she is not at work. Welcome, Sayli, to this episode of Wings Podcast.
Hi.
How
Hello,
are you?
Milind sir. How are you?
All well. How are you, Sayli?
I'm good. Very well.
Thank you for your time for coming on the show. Sayli, you are probably the first guest on the Wings podcast. Why probably? You are actually the first guest who comes from the world of films, that too a very niche
Okay.
and a specialized area called costume design. So I am super excited to have this conversation with you. In the bargain, I would actually end up learning some bit of your craft. That's a little vested interest I have. So why don't we jump into this conversation and broadly understand that, at a general level, I do understand what is costume design in a films, but there's a lot to it than general understanding, isn't it?
Yes, totally.
So what are the 9 yards of this craft called costume design for films?
Okay. So, costume designing and fashion designing, though they sound similar, they are totally different. In costume design, what we do is after reading the script of a film or any web series, we need to get as much closer to the character as much we can. We literally need to get into, we can say, skin of the character and study the character, basically study the character demographics, basically, like what is the character, the gender of the character, age of the character, how he lives, what his livelihood is, for example, in which city is he staying. If he's staying in Mumbai, that too, in Mumbai, that also, if he's staying in South Bombay, his lifestyle will be different. If he's staying in some suburb area, his lifestyle will be different. His socio-economic status, his occupation, everything really matters, like before styling any character.
And your work, does it involve makeup or it doesn't involve makeup?
No, it doesn't involve, but we can at least suggest like this kind of hairstyle or this makeup we can try on the character if it looks good and if it complements the costumes.
But then, isn't costume design a very, very silent and a subtle contribution to a film's narrative? I mean, as if nobody would notice it, unless, of course, you're talking of costumes of the main characters, the hero, heroines, etc. That's a different matter.
I think for costume designing, each and every character, though be it some secondary or some crowd character or a primary protagonist type of character, every character is equally important. Whatever you can see in the frame, what all characters you can see in the frame, nobody is more or less to each other. The frame is more important.
So in a film
Than
like,
the
a
main
film
hero
like
or
Lagan,
heroine.
for example, where you have these Hajar villagers sitting in the stadium,
Yeah.
that is also equally important then? That dressing?
Obviously, see, being a periodic film, just imagine it's a pre-independence era film, we can
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Imagine a villager wearing shirt and pant. It will look so odd. Like if we are even less like a bit ignorant, the damage costs the frame, na? The full frame is like goes on haywire.
So then, as a costume designer, do you like a director or the cinematographer of the film also look at a film from a frame to frame basis? Is this how your mind works?
Yeah, but primarily we to start the process, we look at the characters first
Mm-hmm.
and then jump from scene to scene. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, in a scene, the frame gets set. A
Mm-hmm.
particular frame is set for a particular scene. So a frame is a part of that particular scene.
So why don't you walk us through, let's say, an actual film that you have done recently or in the recent past, and if you can take the name of the films and the characters and the setting, and how did you approach
Uh-huh.
the entire project? How was your experience? What actually happened during the whole process for you?
Okay. There's one film very close to my heart called Humpy. It's a Marathi film.
Mm-hmm.
It was directed by Prakash Kunte.
Mm-hmm.
So it was mainly a travel film. If someone asks me what was the genre of the film, then I'll say it is a travel kind of a film
Mm-hmm.
where random three people just meet each other and they get along.
Mm-hmm.
Like solo, how do solo travelers get along when
Okay.
they meet each other? Like when we meet a stranger who's a solo traveler, how they get along. So mainly there were two characters mainly. I had to like really put my mind into it. Was the main protagonist Isha? Yeah, it was played by junior Sonali Kulkarni, and the male protagonist was played by Lalit Prabhakar, named Kabir, who's
Mm-hmm.
so to talk about Kabir, he is a total nomad by nature, an architect by profession. He loves traveling. Like he travels more than he works for his living.
Mm-hmm.
Is his character. He literally lives in a suitcase. So
Okay.
we had to, yeah. So we had to dress look in a way that he won't be having many clothes with him. He will be
Mm-hmm.
having very like limited or like limited clothes with him. So and he has traveled a lot. So he will be having some variety in his costumes, like in his wardrobe, to say. Like if he goes to Goa, he can have something picked up from there. If he has traveled to Kerala before Hampi, he can pick up a lungi from there and just wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has no inhibitions about his living and about his dressing up. His clothes won't be formal looking at all. There
Mm-hmm.
will be some ease in his dressing up, some what we say, some, and he will, the fits of his clothes will be very loose, and what in today's age we call is anti-fit clothing.
Mm-hmm.
His wardrobe will mainly consist of anti-fit clothes, which are loose. For just example, when we wear a t-shirt, like
Mm-hmm.
it's been 6 8 months, the feel of the t-shirt is very different when we had purchased it like 6 months ago.
Correct.
They become soft, they become loose, there is some ease in those clothes.
Correct.
When we had purchased his wardrobe, Kabir's wardrobe we had to make. The first and foremost thing, I just like told the director and the actor, listen, we have purchased it, these clothes right now, but I think we'll have to wash them twice or thrice before we go on floor,
Correct.
so that uh, we can get a bit lived in feel in those clothes. It will look very natural on camera also. And one more thing came to my mind is just 3 4 washes won't be enough to get that lived in a bit loose feeling for those clothes. So also like even I asked the actor also, if you are fine, then I'll just get one size bigger for you,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can get that loose lived in wala feel
Mm-hmm.
through your costumes. And it really helped,
But then Lalit Prabhakar is a very popular
Uh-huh.
and a known actor in Marathi. I mean, I don't know him as a
Uh-huh.
person, but I'm
Uh-huh.
sure in your role, when you have to dress up heroes or heroines or character
Uh-huh.
artists, these are
Uh-huh.
established names in the industry.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
then you have to, in many ways, give them direction in terms of costume and little do a, if
Mm-hmm.
required, uh, be a little controlling over them. How does
Hmm.
that dynamic work? I mean, is that a challenge for somebody like you?
Uh, touch wood, but none of the actors have troubled me in any of my projects.
Wonderful, wonderful. What about directors? What about other important people in the filmmaking process?
Yeah,
Let's say,
directors also.
let's say the person who controls the budgets.
Yeah, that is a tough matter. But yeah, it's like my funda is either you convince me or I convince you.
Oh,
Most of the times I convince people. So
so your
it
dadagiri actually
gets tough.
works.
Yeah.
You do dadagiri on the sets, huh?
Uh, if it depends ki, the person in front of me, how he's reacting, it depends
I
on
know.
him totally.
I know. I can understand. So,
Either,
Saili,
either
yeah,
ways.
either way. Saili, let's rewind back. I mean,
Uh-huh.
is this what you always wanted to do as a young child? Maybe in your schooling days or college days, something of this kind. I don't know.
See,
how was?
I knew
Yeah.
I didn't wanted to become an engineer, CA, or lawyer for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do something in creative field for sure because I just loved sketching.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved dancing. And yeah, one more thing. Whenever I used to get free time at a house, like while playing, I just grabbed my mother's dupattas, some old saris, and like just for fun, I used to try different kinds of drapes on me.
Mm.
So maybe gradually, somewhere in back of mind, I must have thought like I really want to do something in fashion or costumes.
And how did you then end up choosing your professional education in this field?
So, so like I was very clear to my parents in around 8 or 9. See, listen, I think I should try fashion designing
Mm-hmm.
as a career option. So my parents are very supportive at that time. They said, okay, we have no problem. Okay, if you want to do this, let's like find out what are the good courses you
Mm-hmm.
want to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did some research. So, and internet was not that popular. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking in 2003, 2004,
Mm-hmm.
smartphones weren't there.
Correct.
So we literally, yeah. And every house didn't had a computer with internet installed in it.
Correct.
So yeah. So I had to do few surveys. I used to go to internet cafes and like just like search on fashion designing, what are the courses, or just like talk to people around me, like what colleges are there for fashion designing, what courses are there in it. And like not only but even my parents also accompanied me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point we just like zeroed on like, okay, then after 10 let's get enrolled in SNDT, where
Mm-hmm.
they have a proper degree course for fashion, sorry, not for fashion, for textile. My course was textile science and apparel designing, BSc in textile science and apparel designing. They have
Okay.
the certified course. You
Mm-hmm.
complete the course, and for post graduation we can also then we can try a good institute after that.
Mm-hmm. So
So
what happened in the SNDT days? What was the experiences there? What is it that you picked up during those days?
i I just learned whatever I can related to all textiles, all textile science, like literally uh how a yarn or how a fiber is converted to the whole apparel.
Mm,
Like
mm, mm.
the whole process I learned.
The spinning, the
For
weaving, and
example,
everything.
yeah, spinning, weaving, dyeing, printing, everything.
Yeah. I'll tell you why
Yeah.
I am conversant with this, because my father was in the textile industry as a
Oh wow.
as a factory manager.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, he is no more. But in one of the school vacations, I remember he said, "Come over, see what happens on the factory shop floor." And right from bales
Ah,
of cotton, how it would get converted
correct.
into
Yes.
a thread, and the thread would be like the multi-threaded, and then the yarn and the weaving and the dyeing and the finished product that will come out.
It's a fun process actually to watch.
Undoubtedly. So, but
Yeah,
then how
yeah.
did fashion design as a specialization happen to you, and how did you get your hands dirty in the actual craft, the practice of it?
Yeah, so I wanted to do fashion designing in my post graduation. So I enrolled, I got selected in SOFT. It was a 2 year post graduation course in fashion designing and uh, clothing technology.
Mm-hmm.
FDCT it was called.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 2 year course, and yeah, I just completed. And yeah, and actually, I was supposed to get interned under Mr. Hemant Trivedi.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very big name in the fashion industry today, but for some reason, he had some family emergency and he couldn't take interns under him that year.
Okay.
So I had to find some other alternative. Otherwise, I could not have completed the course. So few of my seniors, like we used to be in touch with our seniors also who have already passed out, and if they have any internship, like if they know if there are any vacancies for internships anywhere, they used to let us know. So one of my senior just gave me contact of a costume designer named Payal Saluja. So I contacted her. I did my internship, and uh, and and she just hired me as an intern. And she had some upcoming projects with her. So I was an intern on a film called Ranjana, starring Dhanush and Sonam Kapoor.
Oh, wow.
There, yeah. During internship, I found this really very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This whole process of costume designing. Wow, like, and somewhere at the back of my mind, I had always decided, even after completing fashion designing, I don't want to open a boutique or do bridal designing. That was for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was sure of what I didn't wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, simultaneously, I was doing my internship in costume designing as well. So I was attracted more towards costume designing. I was like, just yeah, I just got what attached to the whole process. And somewhere it struck me, yeah, it is me. Like I can see myself like working in this field for the rest of my life.
So what happened on the sets of Ranjana? Because Sonam Kapoor is a fashion icon in her own self, and
Yeah,
she's projected very beautifully in that film.
yeah, and she's like very particular and very finicky about like her costumes. And
So what used to happen on the sets of Ranjana for a costume designer, a budding, aspiring costume designer called Sayli?
see, I being an intern, like I was like I interacted less with the main actors.
Okay.
I was mainly asked to focus on the secondary characters and the crowd, but that was also a fun process. Like I was born and brought up in Maharashtra, that too in Pune. I had stayed very less in Mumbai also. So what is the world out of Pune? I really didn't knew.
Mm-hmm.
But Ranjana really helped me, like just to study how people live or how people dress in various parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Someone uh, the layman, the common people who stay in Banaras are totally different what I used to see in Pune, right?
Correct.
So it was kind of a challenge for me. The
Mm-hmm.
kind of colors people wear, like or the kind of drapes or the kind of textiles or the materials people wear in Banaras is completely different what I used to wear in Pune.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of, and also the livelihood and socio-economic status also really matters, in
Can you
the
speak? Can you
whole
speak? Can you
process.
say more about how the socio-economic status of the characters impact the dress design?
Yeah. See, Banaras being a small state, being kind of ritualistic and what religious state,
Mm-hmm.
the city, people, uh, people are not very bold in their dressing,
Mm-hmm.
not very revealing in their dressing, especially women.
Mm-hmm.
They are more into simple salwar kameez, saris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on the contrary, if you see people, young girls in Mumbai,
Mm-hmm.
where they roam in Bandra or some South Mumbai, they're totally different, right? They
Mm-hmm.
are much more out there, much more bold, and much more like modern, Western. We see more of Western influence in the
Mm-hmm.
dressing of
Mm-hmm.
any uh, urban kind of area,
But then,
be Mumbai, Delhi, Pune.
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own views, but then I think being in India, we are blessed,
Uh-huh.
isn't it, in terms of the
Totally.
variety and
Variety.
the
Yeah.
richness of costume, right? So
Correct.
so which are the different corners of the country you've actually worked with and touched the cultures? You talked of Banaras, thanks to Ranjana. What about some other places that you've been to where you?
Recently, I was in Ludhiana for almost 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wa- I could see the Punjab textiles very closely, and I am lucky for this experience that I could literally observe, I could observe people's dressing sense right from core winter to gradually converting it to summers.
What do you
Because
mean? What do you mean by
we
that?
experience extreme climatic change in Punjab.
Yes.
When we were in Punjab, we were there in, I think, February,
Okay.
mid Jan, or sorry, end of January, to early March. The winter stayed over there literally, and it
Correct.
was hard hitting winter. And we
Mm-hmm.
used to shoot in nights over there.
Mm-hmm.
After 15th of March, gradually the climate, like the temperatures increased, and we were entering the summers gradually. And the summers are totally different, like totally opposite of what the winters were over there.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme. All the seasons are extreme in Punjab.
So then you during that shoot, then you did you have to then work through your costumes accordingly, the whole thing? Of course, it all.
No, hardest part was we were, as per script, uh, there were winters in our script.
Oh,
So yeah, so be it crowd or be it the main actors, we had to give all of them sweaters, jackets, and whatnot. And people used to be, oh god, like during summer especially. As soon as like a scene gets over or a cut happens between takes, they used to take out all the sweaters, and we really have to keep an eye on all actors, like if by any chance they forgot to wear sweaters in another shot, there will be a whole jerk, continuity jerk, and as I said earlier, the frame will go for a toss.
So, Sayli, what is this continuity jerk? And you said the frame goes for a toss because of that. What is that?
Okay, so continuity is in general a very important aspect in any kind of filmmaking. For example, uh, when we shoot a sequence of in a film, say, for example, we are talking right now to each other. I am having a video call, correct?
Yes.
If I take a break of 2 minutes, I will go in my kitchen to do something, or else just to grab a bottle of water, come back. After the video call ends, I might go to my living room. I just remember I need to buy some groceries. I'll get down to the shop near my house. I'll buy groceries. While coming back, I meet one of my friend in the parking, chat with her, get in the lift, and then again come back. So this whole sequence not necessarily get shoot a, in one flow.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So whenever the schedule is planned, the direction team can plan a schedule in a way that, like, for if we are shooting in this society, for day one, we will just do all the bedroom scenes and shots.
Mm-hmm.
Day two, we'll do all the kitchen shots. Day three, we'll do all the living room shots. Day four, we'll do all the parking and the shops wala shot.
Mm-hmm.
So day one, I wear this costume for this scene. Then yeah, then scene change. I wear some another costume for another scene. Same with another third scene. Day two, another same first day, first shot. I wear this thing again, the kitchen wala thing,
Mm-hmm.
and in a, like probably the same with other scenes, like different costumes I'll be wearing day three, day four. So just imagine on day three and day four, the earlier sequence I was talking about. I did a phone call, I took break, I grabbed a bottle of water, I finished my video call, I went to the living room, then I went to the grocery, which is happening on day four. But if I don't wear only this costume
Mm-hmm.
in that grocery thing, what will happen? It's a continuity, na, of one
Correct.
scene.
Correct. Correct. So what I'm hearing you is in your work and in your craft, it's not just the creatives that obviously are extremely important, but at the same time, there's a fair bit of logistics that has to be thought through
Correct.
very clearly.
Yes, yes, yes. And continuity is not only important in my field, like in my department.
Correct.
If I go to the kitchen to grab a bottle of water, I come back. What if in a shot I'm grabbing a bottle of water over there, but once I enter the bedroom, the a bottle of water is not in my hand only. What's the point?
Correct. Correct. So obviously, I mean, there's a fair bit of micro level thinking that you have to do, and I'm sure with all that, there must be some hair tearing moments where everything breaks loose on a set. I mean, does it happen to you?
Totally.
And then narrate one experience if you can. You don't have to take names, where and what, but then what happened to
Okay.
you and how did you kind of ended up getting order in place?
Okay. So I think we were shooting for a film. Even I was very new to the industry at that time. It was probably my third or fourth project
Mm-hmm.
in general. And as independent costume designer, it was my first project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that day, the film set was such that the shoot is happening on one end. The vanities where the actors get ready is on a different pole. My costume base where all our costumes get ready, get ironed, is on another end totally. And I like all the crew members do agree, right? Like if there is a hectic day, everybody will cooperate with the direction team if some changes are happening for a shot or for some kind of a light. They think they just improvise that no, we will take this shot over here and this shot over there. Okay. I'm like, okay, boss, we are with you, but just give us also some time in our hand, so it will be better for us to do the preparations. Like if anything comes to your head that we just want to shoot it right now, just give me like a 15 or 20 minutes notice and everything will be ready.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tell like instead of 20 minutes, just everything should be ready with the actors, everything should be ready in 5 minutes, it's it's totally like what we say very it's impossible and very unreasonable demand. So couple of these things happened that day on set. Like everybody was asking Saili, where are the costumes, why are the actors not ready yet? No, once or twice I talked to them very calmly. Listen, I had told you, like just give me 15-20 minutes prior notice and then I can also like uh do better preparations from my side now for better results.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. The person on the other hand was getting so hyper and like he just yelled for no reason. Then I'm like, listen, if you think there is some Mary Poppins going on this side, then you are totally wrong. We are also humans. Give us some prior notice and yeah, so that help us to help you better. I just
So tempers do fly on the set, right? Even for somebody like you.
totally.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, of course, this crisis is a part of everybody's life, at work, whatever work we do. And of course, one gathers oneself and gets on with what one has to do. But how many years are you now doing your, costume design as a profession? And how many of that is now independent by yourself?
Uh, Costume designing as profession, you can say 10 years. I started with Ranjana in 2012, like around June and July this time.
Correct.
Yeah, and as independent, since 2015, you can say
So about
2014 or 2015.
So roughly 10 years you are in this industry, roughly 7 to 8 years of that you are independent. Uh,
Yeah.
what has this job given you? Apart from a meaning in life, that's a very standard, of course, a response, which is a good response. But then what has it given you as a person, this work that over the last 8, 10 years?
Uh, Confidence to deal with different kinds of people
Mm-hmm.
in different kinds of situation, to be independent in every way. See, because I literally had no contact from this industry. I didn't had any godfather or like anybody, or neither of my parents or anybody is from this industry. Like just to guide me, to tell what kind of projects I should take up or how should I work and all that. So whatever I have learned through my own experiences today. They might be there might be some wrong decisions also, but they are mine. Like I am taking full responsibility of those decisions too.
So if you were
And
to
it was a learning experience for me.
if you were to describe Saili of
Huh.
2012,
Huh.
where she was just an intern getting into
Hmm.
this kind of work. What
Huh.
kind of person was that? If you look back at her, who do you see?
That Sayli was like very new and very naive, I think.
A-
And
Anything about that Sayli you miss?
uh, I know I don't miss
What about the Sayli of today?
anything.
If you stand in front of a mirror, who do you see?
This Sayli is more confident, more uh, independent, and yeah, like if I'm allowed to talk, uh, like one of I just it was a fun thing. One of my I just asked one of my juniors one day, like, hey, so what did you learn from me and from this project? And she just turned back and say, yeah, I just learned how to be a bitch.
Yeah, maybe if that is the way one survives in the kind of work that you do. But then I'm sure a
See,
lot
I
of,
am nice. Yeah,
of course you
I
are, of
am
course you are.
nice until and unless like you just don't take disadvantage of me. Like,
Of course, of course. I mean, this is human. This is very much human. But then
yeah,
I'm sure there are a lot of things that you have done that make you proud of yourself.
yeah,
And
yeah,
in terms of who you are, what you're doing. And of course, I'm sure being an independent costume designer, you are negotiating your own contracts as well, right?
yeah.
And following up for your payments and a whole lot of other commercial aspects of your work as well, apart from costume design and the maramari that happens on the set, everything. It's
Correct,
like
correct,
it's
correct.
like it's as if you have 10 hands and 20 feet and god knows what. But then,
Yeah.
having achieved something so rich and meaningful at this stage in your life, Saili, what is it that you look forward for yourself going forward, whatever, in the near future, let's say?
Near future, I just want to keep up this good work. I always wish that any kind of project I do doesn't suffers because of my department, the
Mm-hmm.
department which I handle. Nobody should like say that because of the costumes, the whole project went for a toss. I just pray and I all my efforts are like to maintain that level of work which I do.
Let's
I just
do
love my work basically
so.
too much.
Because I know you love your work too much. Let's do one thing. Let's write a letter to Saili,
Okay.
and you have to write that letter now. Don't have to take a
Okay.
piece of paper and pen, but then
Uh-huh.
just what will be the opening lines of the letter that you will write to Saili of today?
Just be yourself.
No,
Don't let
yeah,
anyone to overpower you anytime. There is a phrase in Hindi
go ahead.
called which I always follow
Go ahead.
and सुनूंगी सबकी करूंगी मन की.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always of that philosophy. I do listen to everyone's point of view. I analyze it and like I do what I really need to do. I'm very stubborn that ways.
You are who you are, and
Yeah. Yeah, I always do what opinions into consideration, but the final decision is my own.
no, but Saili, what you just said a little
Hmm.
while ago, which is so beautiful and
Huh.
so nice, that uh, even if you do monkey, which is what you want to do,
Huh.
you are very conscious about the choices that you're making. You are
Yeah,
willing
yeah,
to own up the consequences, whatever they are, and live your life on your terms, the way you wish to be,
yeah.
which is so wonderful and so nice. Saili, this has been a a very different or hatke kind of a conversation for me. I don't know how it has
Okay.
been for you. I have never met and have never had a conversation with somebody who works as a costume designer on films And there is so much
Mhm.
more for us to explore. But then, given the limitation of the podcast time that we have, I have no choice but to kind of bring the curtains down on this conversation. It's been a joy for me to have this chat with you. I just wondering how has been this
I
for you?
loved chatting with you. Yeah. It was very informal kind of interview, which I really enjoyed. It was very candid for me, actually.
So let's make a promise to each other. We
Yeah.
we will meet next
Mm-hmm.
uh, on a chai ka tapri
Wow.
and continue this conversation there.
Surely. I would love to do that.
And a chai ka tapri where either we get a banwas ka pav or a khari biscuit, even that is fine.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, I can anytime you can come to my place. I'll just love cooking. You just tell me what you want to eat and I'll just make it for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So nice of you. So this is
Yeah.
too tempting, too mouth-watering. And
Ha.
what I'll do is I'll talk to Asha, pick a date, and we'll figure out
Definitely.
between your shoots and a busy calendar, we'll have to figure out a time. But we will do that. I promise that. And I look forward to meeting you soon.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Bye, Saili.
Same
Take
here.
care. Take
Looking
care.
forward.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for your time today, my dear listeners. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri, signing off. Goodbye, take care, and stay safe. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as a piece of any professional advice. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of its guest. Creators of this podcast expressly disclaim any and all liability or responsibility for any direct or indirect, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of this podcast. For feedback and suggestions, please write to wingsindia75 at gmail.com. Thank you.